A woman named Eun-su works as a manager at a luxury jewelry store. One day, a diamond watch from her collection suddenly goes missing. After checking the security footage, she discovers it was stolen by a large, intimidating man named Jin So-baek. Without hesitation and without fear, Eun-su goes straight to confront him at his territory, an illegal market completely under his control. She does not care who he is, how dangerous he might be, or why so many people fear him. She stands directly in front of him, staring him down, demanding compensation for the stolen watch. The way she speaks, the calm in her eyes, and the confidence she carries make it clear that Eun-su is not an ordinary woman. So-baek immediately senses it. Beneath her polished appearance lies something darker, colder, and far more calculating. The story then shifts to Eun-su's past. As a child, she grew up watching her father abuse her mother. Her home was filled with shouting, bruises, and fear. Those memories slowly destroyed her from the inside, pushing her into deep depression. There was even a moment when she nearly did the unthinkable. But that day, her best friend Hee-su pulled her back, holding her tightly and refusing to let her fall any further. In that moment, everything changed. This is As You Stood By. Now Hee-su is married. One day, Eun-su sees Hee-su's husband visiting the jewelry store. He buys an expensive necklace as a gift for his wife. The store clerk casually mentions that he is a regular customer who often buys luxury items for her. Hearing this, something stirs inside Eun-su. Not jealousy, but bitterness. Hee-su's life looks perfect. A caring husband, comfort, stability, everything Eun-su never had. Later that day, Eun-su tries to contact Hee-su, but her calls are ignored. At the same time, she sees a delivery courier arrive at Hee-su's home and watches her friend receive a package. Confused and uneasy, Eun-su forces her way inside the house. The moment she steps in, something inside her changes. The story cuts abruptly to a taekwondo gym. Whatever Eun-su witnessed in that house shattered her control. Her emotions explode and she nearly kills her sparring partner during training. Her coach bans her from returning. Drunk and completely unbalanced, Eun-su wanders until she suddenly finds herself at So-baek's office. Embarrassed, she tries to leave, but her eyes catch a young, innocent-looking laborer working nearby. In that moment, a dark idea forms. She decides to use him as a pawn. That brief encounter quietly seals his fate. That night, Eun-su is invited to dinner by So-baek. He is the first person to truly recognize what kind of soul she carries. During the meal, Eun-su sees breaking news reporting that her boss has died due to depression caused by domestic abuse. Something inside her snaps. She immediately tries to call Hee-su, but the call goes unanswered. Panicked, she prepares to leave, and So-baek instantly understands what is happening in her mind. He tells her that Hee-su must kill her husband, and that she must survive long enough to witness his death. Eun-su rushes to Hee-su's house and finds her on the verge of ending her life. Without hesitation, she calms her down. Her voice is cold, steady, and strangely comforting. Then she tells Hee-su that they will end her husband's life together. The story then moves back to the moment when Hee-su refused to open the door. As she kept avoiding her friend, Eun-su finally forced it open. What she saw left her frozen. Hee-su was badly bruised, her body covered in marks that made it clear she had been beaten by her own husband. The story then shifts further into Hee-su's past. From the outside, she always appeared calm and composed. But behind closed doors, her life was far from peaceful. For years, she lived with her husband Jin-pyo, a wealthy and powerful man who acted as if he owned her life. She endured endless abuse, physical, emotional, and psychological, until one day she finally decided to escape. That day, she placed her mother in a nursing home and prepared to flee the country. Everything seemed to be going according to plan, until a message appeared on her phone. It was a video of Jin-pyo abusing her mother. His voice could be heard clearly, threatening to kill her if Hee-su did not return home. Panic took over. With no other choice, she went back, and the suffering began all over again. Jin-pyo showed no mercy. He beat her without guilt, without hesitation. As if that were not enough, he demanded affection from her immediately after the abuse, treating her pain as if it meant nothing. The next morning, he installed surveillance cameras throughout the house, trapping her inside like an animal in a cage. One day, Hee-su gathered the courage to go to the police. But instead of help, she was met by Jin-pyo's younger sister, Jin Yong. With a single look, Jin Yong understood why Hee-su was there. She coldly made it clear that domestic abuse laws would never touch her brother. Days later, Jin-pyo took Hee-su to meet one of his business partners, a famous artist named Mrs. Han. Long ago, Mrs. Han had stolen one of Hee-su's ideas and built her fame on it. That painful memory resurfaced, and in her despair, Hee-su drank too much. Drunk and overwhelmed, she criticized Mrs. Han's artwork in public. Offended and furious, Mrs. Han slapped her in front of everyone. On the way home, Jin-pyo ordered Hee-su to unbuckle her seatbelt. Then he drove recklessly, as if he wanted her dead. That night, Hee-su sat alone, exhausted and empty. For the first time, she truly considered ending everything. But before she could, someone stopped her. It was Eun-su, the only friend she had left, the one her husband had kept away from her for so long. Eun-su looked at her broken friend and spoke softly, telling her that she had to survive long enough to witness Jin-pyo's death. That moment became the beginning of their plan to end him. At that moment, Jin-pyo suddenly arrived, catching them completely off guard. Just like before, he began beating Hee-su again. This time, Eun-su witnessed everything while hiding behind a wardrobe. Watching her friend suffer pushed her to the edge, and she silently urged Hee-su to hold on. But Hee-su no longer looked like someone who still had hope left inside her. Later that night, Jin-pyo was awakened by the sound of something falling. When he looked closer, he saw Hee-su attempting to do the unthinkable. Panic took over, and he nearly called an ambulance, but then he stopped himself. He realized that doing so would expose everything and send him to prison. After Hee-su regained consciousness, he coldly warned her not to ever attempt such a thing again, saying it would destroy his career. Hee-su then agreed to obey him, but only if he removed the CCTV cameras he had installed the day before. What Jin-pyo did not realize was that this was all part of a plan created by Eun-su. The next morning, Hee-su saw what looked like an opportunity. She picked up a knife and struck Jin-pyo, causing him to collapse. But it was only a vision in her mind. In reality, she was still unable to take his life. Even so, she found the courage to face death herself, rather than kill him. Meanwhile, Eun-su was meeting with So-baek. She brought up his earlier words about Hee-su needing to survive long enough to witness her husband's death. Now, Eun-su believed those words were meaningless if Hee-su would only end up in prison. Hearing this, So-baek calmly suggested that the police would be powerless if Hee-su's husband was never found. After that meeting, Eun-su once again noticed the hard-working young laborer, Jang. His honesty and sincerity stood out, making him seem like the perfect pawn. What exactly Eun-su did next remains unclear, as the story shifts to Jin-pyo, who had fallen into deep despair after Mrs. Han rejected all his apologies. That night, Jin-pyo reviewed old CCTV footage from before the cameras were destroyed. In the recording, he noticed Eun-su inside his house. Later, he invited Hee-su out to dinner once again. She agreed to go, unaware that Eun-su would also be there. At that moment, Jin-pyo deliberately spilled his drink and ordered Hee-su to clean herself in the restroom. Once she was gone, he turned to Eun-su and threatened her. If she refused to help him get close to Mrs. Han, he would continue abusing Hee-su. He knew very well that Mrs. Han was one of the jewelry store's most important clients, and someone Eun-su was close to. Not wanting Hee-su to suffer again, Eun-su gave in. She helped Jin-pyo beg for another chance to work with Mrs. Han. Thankfully, Mrs. Han already viewed Eun-su like family, and because of that, she agreed to accept Jin-pyo again as a business partner. Afterward, Eun-su went to find Jang. She took him to a salon, cleaned him up, and dressed him carefully until he looked almost identical to Jin-pyo. Jang, innocent and sincere, believed this was simply Eun-su being kind to him. He was genuinely happy that someone cared about his appearance. At that moment, Jin-pyo's younger sister, Jin Yong, happened to see them together. From a distance, she mistook Jang for her brother and almost sent him a message. Fortunately, her superior called her at that exact moment, and the misunderstanding went unnoticed. Meanwhile, Jin-pyo was celebrating his renewed partnership with Mrs. Han. He drank heavily and became unsteady. While in the restroom, he suddenly received a notification saying he had booked a flight ticket. The message enraged him, and he immediately assumed Hee-su was planning to escape again. Drunk and furious, he rushed home, only to wake up later bound with rope. However, this turned out to be nothing more than a rehearsal arranged by Eun-su and Hee-su. Before their plan could fully take shape, Jin-pyo returned home in a rage after discovering that Hee-su had booked a flight to China under his name. Believing she was trying to run away again, he moved to strike her. Unable to hold back any longer, Eun-su stepped out to stop him. Seeing Eun-su emerge from the room instantly raised Jin-pyo's suspicion. He searched the room and found a rope hidden beneath a pillow. Without hesitation, he attacked both women. Eun-su was cornered and nearly killed. In that moment, Hee-su struck him with a snow globe, knocking him down instantly. Just then, the doorbell rang. When they opened the door, they found their neighbor standing there with a few oranges. Unfortunately, Hee-su made a careless mistake, and the neighbor noticed a red stain on her clothes before leaving. After that, Eun-su and Hee-su cleaned up the mess together. Once everything was settled, Kang-jang suddenly arrived at the house. This was the core of Eun-su's plan. Kang-jang was dressed and styled to look exactly like the late Jin-pyo, completing the transformation that would change everything. At that moment, Kang-jang felt genuinely happy. It was the first time in his life he had ever worn a luxury suit. Soon after, Eun-su asked him to carry a suitcase. Without hesitation, Kang-jang obeyed. What he did not know was that inside the suitcase lay the body of Jin-pyo. Eun-su then realized something was missing. She handed Kang-jang one of Jin-pyo's expensive watches. From that moment on, if the police ever caught him, Kang-jang would become the main suspect. Yet once again, he misunderstood her actions as kindness. Meanwhile, Jin Yong was on duty when she suddenly felt an uneasy sense of dread about her brother. She asked her colleague to drop her off at Jin-pyo's apartment. When Hee-su saw Jin Yong arrive, she was caught off guard and struggled to stay calm. At that moment, she began hallucinating again, seeing red stains on the floor even though everything had already been cleaned. As Jin Yong prepared to leave, she accidentally stepped on broken glass from the snow globe. At the same time, down in the basement, Eun-su arrived to pick up Kang-jang. She instructed him to withdraw a large amount of money from Jin-pyo's account. After that, she told him to fly to China using Jin-pyo's passport. She also gave him Jin-pyo's phone and told him to turn it on once he arrived in China, then shut it off and throw it away. Kang-jang, still innocent and trusting, followed every instruction without question. Once Eun-su made sure Kang-jang had boarded the plane, she rushed to pick up Hee-su. The two of them then headed toward a remote area. Along the way, Hee-su began showing strange signs again, imagining blood still covering her hands. The distraction caused Eun-su to lose focus, and they accidentally hit something on the road. When they stepped out, they realized it was a deer. They then continued on to the mountains where their true purpose was revealed. They had come to bury Jin-pyo's body. Yet a haunting question remained. Was the body truly in that grave? Or was it still being carried by Kang-jang instead? The truth was that Eun-su had used Kang-jang to pretend to be Jin-pyo, making it seem as though Jin-pyo had simply gone on a trip to China. For the first time in a long while, Hee-su felt free. The weight that had crushed her life for so long was finally gone. Eun-su also appeared satisfied, believing her plan had unfolded perfectly. But on their way back, they were suddenly stopped at a police checkpoint. The officers noticed scratches and bloodstains on the car. Suspicious, one of them asked Eun-su to open the trunk. Panic set in, because inside was the shovel they had used to bury Jin-pyo. Just as fear took over, the officer was suddenly called away by his superior, allowing them to escape. Days passed, and people began searching for Jin-pyo. Hee-su played her role well, appearing devastated by his disappearance. Her performance convinced Jin Yong that she had nothing to do with what happened to her brother. Meanwhile, at the company where Jin-pyo worked, executives were stunned by a massive withdrawal of company funds. CCTV footage soon revealed that Kang-jang was the one who had withdrawn the money. That discovery was enough to convince everyone that Jin-pyo had fled to China after committing corruption. At the same time, Jin Yong finally began to uncover traces of her brother's whereabouts. She managed to obtain airport CCTV footage from China, which showed Kang-jang meeting with his family. Seeing this, Jin Yong suddenly remembered the moment she had seen Kang-jang standing beside Eun-su, believing he was Jin-pyo at the time. From that point on, she became convinced that Jin-pyo had escaped to China to meet his mistress. As time passed, Hee-su and Eun-su began spending their days together. To help fill the emptiness, Eun-su offered Hee-su a job at So-baek's company. After learning about Hee-su's history of abuse, So-baek accepted her without hesitation, especially because of her close connection to Eun-su. They later went out to celebrate at a restaurant. During that moment, Eun-su unexpectedly crossed paths with her former boss. He was the man whose abuse had driven his own wife to end her life. In the restroom, he confronted Eun-su and threatened to destroy her life if she ever reported his violence to the police. But Eun-su did not back down. Her past had hardened her, and she stood her ground. His anger exploded until So-baek appeared and revealed his true authority by forcefully stopping him. After that incident, Eun-su finally gave her statement to the police. As she was leaving, heavy rain began to fall. In that moment, she realized something terrifying. The rain could wash away the soil where Jin-pyo had been buried, possibly exposing his body. Meanwhile, back at Hee-su's home, she began hallucinating again. As she struggled to steady herself, someone rang the doorbell. When she opened the door, she found Jang standing there. Instinctively, she reached for her phone, ready to call the police. But Jang calmly made her question what she would even report, especially if the man she believed she had killed was actually still alive. His words froze her in place. Jang then revealed the truth. From the beginning, he had been sincere and never intended to cause harm. But when he opened the suitcase and discovered Jin-pyo's body, he realized he had been used by both Eun-su and Hee-su. From that moment on, Jang chose not to hide anymore. He returned to confront Hee-su and demanded 3 million won in exchange for his silence before he would approach Jin-pyo's family. After delivering his message, he left. Outside, a security guard approached Jang and told him that Jin-pyo's mother needed to contact him immediately if her son returned home. Jang then asked the guard to help him carry something from the trunk of his car. At the same time, Hee-su noticed what was happening and quietly followed them. What happened next was far more disturbing. Jang calmly and silently killed the innocent guard. In that moment, Hee-su realized that the man she once saw as weak and harmless was never just a pawn. He was something far more dangerous, a silent predator hiding in plain sight. News of the guard's death quickly spread and reached Jin-pyo's mother. She immediately went to see Jin Yong and admitted that she had secretly ordered the guard to keep an eye on Hee-su. Hearing this, Jin Yong became furious. She believed her mother had gone too far and had let her obsession turn into something reckless. But her mother did not care. Instead, she ordered Jin Yong to clean up the mess left behind by the guard's death. Jin Yong went to the scene and reviewed the CCTV footage. There, she saw Jang, whom she still believed to be her brother, walking with the guard toward the basement. In that instant, she realized the guard had been killed by her own brother. Without hesitation, she deleted the footage. Meanwhile, Jang began blackmailing Jin-pyo's mother. He claimed he was being hunted and needed a large sum of money to survive. To convince her, he even appeared in front of her so she would believe her son was truly asking for help. After that, Jang went out drinking with his former co-workers from his days as a laborer. At the same time, So-baek was monitoring his nightlife business, which operated as a delivery service by day and an illegal gambling hub by night. While checking one of the locations, he discovered Jang there, heavily intoxicated. What shocked him even more was that Jang now carried 2 phones. When So-baek checked one of them, he realized it belonged to Hee-su's husband. His men then told him that Jang had changed and had recently mentioned receiving 3 million won from a woman who had wronged him. At that moment, everything became clear to So-baek. Eun-su and Hee-su were in serious danger. As he pieced everything together, he realized that Hee-su's real husband was already dead, and that Jang had been used as a replacement to erase all traces of the crime. Only then did So-baek understand that all of this had started because of his own words, when he once said that Hee-su needed to survive long enough to see her husband die. Realizing the consequences, he ordered someone to secretly keep watch over Jang, while making sure Eun-su and Hee-su never found out. At the same time, Eun-su was doing exactly what So-baek had done. She had secretly hired a hitman to eliminate Jang. Not long after, she received a video showing that Jang had successfully located the place where she and Hee-su buried Jin-pyo. That was when he raised his price to 4 billion won. Eun-su demanded to know his true motive. Jang finally revealed that everything he was doing came from deep resentment and ambition that had been building inside him for a long time. Meanwhile, Hee-su was desperately trying to gather the money Jang demanded. She even forced open Jin-pyo's safe, without caring if his family might grow suspicious. While doing so, Jin Yong began to notice something strange about Hee-su's behavior. She followed her and was shocked to see Eun-su, the woman she believed to be Jin-pyo's mistress, acting closely with Hee-su. Jin Yong continued following them and was stunned when she saw Eun-su picking up her brother. At that moment, Eun-su was preparing to trap Jang. She pretended she would hand over the money at Hee-su's mother's house. In reality, she was leading him to a location where her men were waiting to kill him. Behind them, Jin Yong received a call from her mother, who said that her brother had just visited her and urgently needed a large amount of money. After reading the message sent from Jang's phone, Jin Yong immediately realized that the person contacting her mother was not her real brother. At the same time, the car driven by Eun-su veered off the road and crashed into a ditch. Kang Jang got out and nearly got hit by another car. The driver of that car turned out to be Jin Yong. Kang Jang did not realize who she was, but Jin Yong instantly knew that the man standing before her was not her real brother. She took advantage of his confusion and offered him a ride. Inside the car, the tension grew heavy. Kang Jang soon realized who she really was and tried to escape. A violent struggle followed, but Jin Yong managed to overpower him. As she searched him, she found two phones. One belonged to her brother. The other revealed that Kang Jang had been in contact with Hee-su. At that moment, Jin Yong still believed he was blackmailing Hee-su for money, just as he had done with her mother. Meanwhile, Hee-su was in a state of panic. Eun-su could not be reached, and she feared Kang Jang had already killed her. Desperate, she called Kang Jang's number. To her shock, the person who answered was Jin Yong. At that moment, Jin Yong was stunned to realize that Hee-su actually knew who Kang Jang truly was. She had believed Hee-su was just another victim who still thought Kang Jang was her brother. That assumption shattered instantly. Jin Yong rushed to review the CCTV footage inside the apartment. When she watched the elevator footage, her heart dropped. She noticed that the man inside had a tattoo, something her brother never had. In that instant, she understood the truth. The person seen in the footage was Kang Jang. The video also showed him leaving the building while carrying a suitcase that looked unusually heavy. Jin Yong then compared it with the airport footage from China, where the same suitcase appeared much lighter. That was the moment everything became clear. Her brother was already dead, and his body had been hidden inside that suitcase. As she continued checking Kang Jang's phone, she discovered a video showing how he had tracked down the location where Eun-su and Hee-su buried Jin-pyo's body. Meanwhile, Hee-su and Eun-su were at So-baek's base, where he already knew the truth they had been hiding. He did not blame them for what they had done to Jin-pyo or to Hee-su's husband. What troubled him was that Eun-su never asked him about who Kang Jang truly was. Because of that mistake, their carefully planned operation had fallen apart, driven by Kang Jang's desire for revenge after realizing he had been used. So-baek decided that he would take care of Kang Jang himself. However, both Eun-su and Hee-su refused his help. They did not want to drag him into their mess. Still, So-baek insisted, Hee-su now worked under him, and protecting his people was part of his responsibility. Soon after, So-baek's men reported that Kang Jang had been taken by a female detective who had been following Eun-su's car. That detective was Jin Yong herself. She was now holding Kang Jang captive in her home and demanding answers about what had really happened to her brother. Terrified, Kang Jang confessed that everything he had done was under Jin-pyo's orders. Hearing this, Jin Yong froze. After making sure Kang Jang was secured, she went straight to the Han River. There, for reasons known only to her, she deleted every photo of Jin-pyo and threw his phone into the water, as if erasing his existence completely. At the same time, So-baek's people finally tracked down Kang Jang's location and learned that Jin Yong had taken him. By then, Jin Yong had already been officially appointed as a presidential security officer. She had received a direct warning to protect her reputation at all costs. Even the smallest scandal would immediately end her career and disgrace her family. That night, Jin Yong suddenly arrived at Hee-su's house, leaving Hee-su shaken. Still, she managed to steady herself, remembering So-baek's warning to keep pretending she was grieving over Jin-pyo's death. Jin Yong carefully steered the conversation toward questions about Jin-pyo and how he died. Hee-su struggled to keep her composure, and her trembling only confirmed Jin Yong's growing suspicion that she was somehow involved in his disappearance. At the same time, one of So-baek's men reported that Jin Yong was on the move. He was certain that Kang Jang was now being hidden inside her home. Hearing this, So-baek was confused by Jin Yong's motives, but Eun-su understood immediately. Jin Yong was trying to erase every trace of her brother's death to protect her own future within the presidential office. After hearing this, So-baek ordered Eun-su to stay quiet while he figured out a safe way to retrieve Kang Jang. Later that day, Eun-su approached Jin Yong's mother. While distracting her, Eun-su pretended to take a phone call and quietly slipped into the garage. There, she discovered Kang Jang was indeed being held inside. Without hesitation, she damaged the car and took him away. So-baek soon learned what had happened, and was furious at Eun-su for acting so recklessly. He immediately ordered his men to erase the CCTV footage and disable the car's alarm before the authorities could respond. After that, he followed Eun-su as she fled with Kang Jang, clearly frustrated by her impulsive decisions. Eventually, Kang Jang was secured at So-baek's base. So-baek then decided that Kang Jang and Jin-pyo's body would be sent to China that very night. Eun-su strongly objected, knowing how dangerous that plan was. So-baek argued that Jin-pyo had last been seen heading to China, and sending his body there would make it appear as if he had died overseas. If the body were ever found in Korea, both Eun-su and Hee-su would have no escape. Once again, So-baek ordered Eun-su to stay out of it and let him handle everything. Meanwhile, the truth behind Jin Yong's intentions was finally revealed. She knew her brother was already dead, but she wanted Hee-su to take the blame while preserving her own reputation. Her goal was to accuse Hee-su and Eun-su of murdering Jin-pyo to seize his wealth, all while keeping her image intact. However, that plan depended on one thing. She needed to find Jin-pyo's body. At the same time, Kang Jang, now held captive by So-baek, began manipulating one of his former co-workers. His words slowly broke through, convincing the man to help him escape. But once Kang Jang was free, he killed the very person who had helped him. After that, Kang Jang contacted Jin Yong and asked her to come with him to dig up Jin-pyo's grave. His memory was frighteningly precise as he still remembered the exact location, even though the ground was now covered in snow. It did not take long before they uncovered the grave, but what they found inside was not Jin-pyo's body. It was only the remains of a deer. The real body was nowhere to be found. In that moment, for reasons no one could fully understand, Jin Yong suddenly struck Kang Jang, knocking him unconscious. At the same time, Hee-su received a message that left her frozen in fear. The message contained photos of the grave and of Kang Jang lying unconscious. The sender was Jin Yong, who warned her not to contact Eun-su, or she would kill Hee-su's mother at the nursing home. Panic took over. Hee-su could no longer think clearly, and Jin Yong took advantage of her fear by pushing her to end everything on her own. She reminded Hee-su that Eun-su had already sacrificed so much for her. Jin Yong made her believe that dragging Eun-su into prison would destroy her life. She claimed to have gathered all the evidence needed to expose both of them. Hearing this, Hee-su broke down in tears. She could no longer remember So-baek's plan, or the reasons he told her to stay strong. If she had listened to him, Jin Yong would never have dared to report her brother's death, since it would have ruined her own reputation and revealed the abuse Jin-pyo had inflicted for years. Not long after, Eun-su arrived to pick Hee-su up, determined to protect her from both Jin Yong and Kang Jang. When they reached So-baek's place, Hee-su asked Eun-su to make her a bowl of ramen while she went to the restroom. Eun-su did not suspect a thing, unaware that Hee-su's mind had already been poisoned by Jin Yong's words. After a long moment passed, Eun-su realized something was wrong. She checked the restroom, but Hee-su was gone. Panic set in as she feared Hee-su had turned herself in. In reality, Hee-su was driving alone, crying uncontrollably as she headed toward a quiet, isolated place. In a sudden and tragic moment, she caused her car to explode, ending her life instantly. Standing nearby was Jin Yong, the woman who had only ever cared about herself. Meanwhile, Eun-su rushed to tell So-baek what had happened. With his experience, he immediately told her to call the nursing home where Hee-su's mother lived. When she did, the staff revealed that a young woman had recently visited, claiming to be Hee-su's niece. That was when they realized Hee-su had been with Jin Yong all along. Meanwhile, at the police station, one of Jin Yong's colleagues made a shocking discovery. Before the apartment security guard was killed, he had been seen on CCTV walking alongside Kang Jang, whom the officer believed to be Jin-pyo. What shocked him even more was learning that the footage had already been deleted, and the person who erased it was Jin Yong herself. Without hesitation, he confronted her and demanded to know why she had done it. Hearing this, Jin Yong panicked. She realized that her entire plan was starting to unravel. She immediately called her mother and told her to move into the apartment, instructing her to make sure the police could not enter. The reason was simple. Kang Jang was being held inside that apartment. Fearing the officer would ruin everything, Jin Yong rushed to meet her superior and manipulated him into removing the officer from the case. However, when she returned to dispose of Hee-su's body, she was shocked to find that Hee-su was no longer there. In the middle of her panic, Jin Yong received a message from Eun-su, who informed her that she had already taken Hee-su away. Eun-su had managed to locate Hee-su through the tracking of her phone, thanks to So-baek's men. Realizing this, Jin Yong rushed from hospital to hospital, searching for Hee-su, but none of them had any record of her. At the same time, Eun-su faced a serious crisis of her own. She was arrested after being captured on CCTV withdrawing money from Jin-pyo's account alongside Jang. Before giving any statement, she contacted So-baek, who immediately stepped in to protect her. As expected, this was all part of Jin Yong's calculated plan. She once again tried to manipulate Eun-su, hoping to break her resolve. This time, Eun-su remained calm and unshaken. But then, everything shifted. Jin Yong received a call from the president, who questioned her involvement in covering up the domestic abuse Jin-pyo had inflicted on Hee-su. The pressure caused her to panic. Seeing this, Eun-su made it clear that she was prepared to expose everything Jin Yong had done. Desperate, Jin Yong rushed to destroy any remaining evidence, including records that showed she had manipulated Hee-su into attempting the unthinkable. At that moment, her mother called to inform her that she had located Jin-pyo. Meanwhile, So-baek successfully secured Eun-su's release and urged her to leave the country with Hee-su as soon as possible. He promised to handle the rest once their safety was guaranteed. Still, Eun-su resisted, unwilling to run. This time, however, So-baek spoke firmly. At the same time, Jin Yong turned her car around and rushed back toward the apartment. So-baek's men were already aware of her movement. When she arrived, she was horrified to find Jang lying lifeless inside. Hours earlier, Jin Yong's mother had accidentally discovered Jang hiding in the storage area. Believing he was her son, Jin-pyo, she rushed to free him. But Jang made a fatal mistake by admitting that Jin-pyo was already dead. The moment she heard those words, she struck him with a bottle, killing him instantly. Back in the present, Jin Yong tried to move Jang's body to a safer location. However, So-baek's men had already uncovered everything. This worked in So-baek's favor, bringing him one step closer to exposing the truth. Even then, Eun-su refused to step back. She stubbornly insisted on doing what she believed was right. So-baek, exhausted by her recklessness, finally allowed her to act on her own judgment. At the same time, Hee-su, just as stubborn, escaped from the hospital despite So-baek's efforts to protect her. Meanwhile, Jin Yong was still unaware that she was being watched, which allowed Eun-su to catch up to her. When Jin Yong noticed Eun-su approaching, she immediately sped away. However, So-baek's men managed to stop her. At that moment, Eun-su took action. What followed unfolded quickly, as the story cuts to Hee-su confessing that she had killed her husband. The scene then shifts back to Eun-su, who deliberately crashed her car into the back of Jin Yong's vehicle. The impact caused Jang's body to be thrown from the car. Witnesses immediately recorded everything, including Jin Yong's desperate attempt to hide the body. Soon, the entire country learned the truth. Jin Yong, a police officer, had killed someone to protect her career. Evidence also surfaced showing how she had manipulated Hee-su into committing the act. The president responded swiftly, erasing Jin Yong's career and ordering her arrest. Jin Yong was soon led away in handcuffs along with her mother, whose carefully crafted public image collapsed when the truth about her children was revealed. Meanwhile, Hee-su stood trial and finally told the full story of the abuse she endured as Jin-pyo's wife, and how it pushed her to take his life with Eun-su's help. Though her story moved many, justice still had to be served. Years later, on the day Hee-su was released, So-baek and Eun-su were there to welcome her home. From that day forward, the three of them lived under So-baek's protection, bound not by blood, but by survival, loyalty, and the cost of truth. So the moral of the story is, if your friend says, "I've got a plan," double check it is not a plan that involves fake lookalikes, suitcases, snow globes, and suddenly relocating someone to China.